Dr. Deepa, you can start the program, Deepa.
Good afternoon, sir. Pawan Kumar, sir. Thank you for being with us.
This is Dr. Shanta Kumari.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm the secretary of Trichy Gynecology Society, Dr. Deepa Mukundan. Good afternoon, sir. Madam Loganathan, sir, is he here?
No. We will just go ahead, invite Shanta Kumari, madam. Then when he comes, we can talk to him.
Ma'am, actually, sir is a little bit occupied, ma'am. He may join at any point of time, and he's having some meetings actually.
Okay, when he joins, we will let him in and we will talk about him, and then he can give a message.
Yes,
Okay.
Good morning, sir. This is Mani Meglai from Bharathidasan University, sir. We have been collaborating with your office for various training. So happy to have that to continue. To Pawan Kumar, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I will start sharing the screen, Deepa.
Yes, ma'am. I'll give my welcome note. Yeah.
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Deepa Mukundan, Secretary of Trichy Obstetric and Gynecological Association. It is indeed a great honor and a privilege for me to host this session of a webinar, an educative webinar on domestic violence in association with Bharathidasan University. My grateful gratitude and heartfelt thanks to Dr. Ramani Devi, Vice President Foxy, for arranging this wonderful event today for the benefit of the public. We have some real great dignitaries today. I really welcome all the dignitaries. Dr. Shanta Kumari, she is the president-elect of FOGSI. FOGSI is a national body called Federation of Obstetricians and Gynecological Societies of India. It's just like the IMA. It's a headquartered organization to which all the obstetric and gynecological societies in the states and cities are affiliated. So we as Trichy Obstetric and Gynecological Societies are affiliated to FOGSI, and Dr. Shanta Kumari is the president-elect, national president-elect for FOGSI 2021. So it is indeed a great pleasure and honor to welcome you, Madam Dr. Shanta Kumari. I'd also like to extend a hearty welcome to the other dignitaries present here today. Mr. Loganathan, Police Commissioner, Trichy. I think he's joining us very shortly. Welcome, sir. It is indeed, we are aware of the extremely tight schedule that you are all in. It is really nice that you are joining us today. The next, I would like to welcome Mr. Pawan Kumar Reddy, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Trichy. He's a Deputy Commissioner, Law and Order, Trichy, the present with Dr. Loganathan. He has done a commendable work for the benefits of Trichy public. Just like doctors, I think police people are working 24/7, and they are integral part of the society's security system and the welfare of the society. So hats off to all of you, especially in this COVID season. I think the police people and the government people have extended a very, very great service. Thank you so much for being with us today, sir. Next, I would like to I'd like to welcome Mrs. Mani Meglai from Bharathidasan University. She's been doing great work in the field of domestic violence, as well as many, many other public issues like menstruation problems, etc., etc. So we have a very, very worthwhile faculty today to be talking to the public. Last but not the least, I welcome everyone who has logged in for this educative webinar. I hope you'll have a great evening today. I hand over to Dr. Ramani Devi, Madam, who is our Vice President, FOGSI. I'd just like to introduce her to the public. Madam is very well known in Trichy, as well as she's a national person now, national and international repute. She is currently the Vice President of FOGSI, National Vice President, and she is a very invited and sought after member in many of the national and international conferences. She is an advisory board member in the Endometriosis Committee of Bangladesh. She has won many national awards like CS Dawn Prize, CL Javeri Prize, etc. She has also been awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award and Women Achievers Award.
I
by
think
Bharatidasan
we can
University.
start. We'll be running
Yeah.
late.
Sure, madam. Welcome, and please take charge, madam. It's an honor to be with you.
Respected Madam Shanta Kumari, incoming Vice President of Foxy, and my dear friend, Mr. Pavan Kumar Reddy, who is the Deputy Commissioner of Trichy City, in charge of women and children, crime against women and children, and Dr. Loganathan, IPS, who is the Commissioner of Police City. I think he is quite busy and he will be joining us anytime. And Mr. Ramesh Babu, who is the additional Commissioner of Police Trichy. And Mrs. Sindhinathi, who has been licensing this program with me. And all of you know that November we have the day for violence against women and children. I wholeheartedly welcome all of them. To say some more words about Dr. Shanta Kumari, she is one of the executive members of the FIGO, that is Federation of International Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, that is FIGO, in women and violence against women. She has initiated the DIRA program at Hyderabad, where it turned out to be a very, very notable one, which was flashed in many of the national TV channels as well as in the newsletters. And she's a very strong woman who can fight for the women of our nation for violence against them as well as the children. Next, to say a note about Mr. Loganathan, when I went through his CV, it was really surprising to see the amount of the work he has done for the benefit of the women and children of our state, as well as he has introduced the WhatsApp program where the public can access him directly, so that nothing like if anybody gives complaint that they will be directed towards that particular police station. Instead, I heard that he handles that patient, that problem straight away himself. And he happens to be a PhD scholar, I suppose, from the thing that it is mentioned as Dr. Loganathan, IPS officer. I welcome him wholeheartedly. Again, he has done a lot of good things for his own community, that is for the police department, which I feel they are much more than us. At least we have some acute cases sometimes, but they are all overworked during this COVID period. And welcome Dr. Loganathan sir. Then when coming to Mr. Pavan Kumar Reddy, who is a very young IPS officer, I feel that he is a down-to-earth person, because he personally called me when I said that I am interested in doing this program, because I have been doing a lot of work for the Trichy Police Department through the previous Deputy Commissioner, Mrs. Nisha. I hope Pavan Kumar sir, you are succeeded Mrs. Nisha. And under her guidance, we conducted many programs for the police women regarding menstrual hygiene, how to cope up when they are on duty. And I had even we have screened all the women police in the city for the general health. We did a pap smear, everything free of cost was done for them. So that had made me acquaintance with the police department. And hence I thought inviting these people and giving an insight regarding domestic violence is very, very important, because still in our society, which is male dominated, the wives, even if the husband beats, they take it lightly. They don't think that they have been harassed. See, that is the way they have been brought up since their childhood. That mainly it is basically because of the gender inequalities, as well as lack of education and empowerment to the women. So here with us we have Dr. Mani Megalai, who is a very good friend of mine. She is a director of Women's Studies Department of Bharatidasan University, who has personally she has even stepped into the public, among the public, and I am very eager to receive her talk on her personal experience regarding domestic violence in Trichy district. So wholeheartedly, I welcome all the faculties for this very important, I feel very important program. And now I think with Dr. Dr. Pavan Kumar, Mr. Pavan Kumar Reddy, sir, would you like to give a message?
Ma'am, I'll just speak for 5 minutes and I have to leave actually because
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
one important incident happened.
Thanks for your presence. Yeah.
Good afternoon, all. Myself, Pavan Kumar Reddy, presently working as Deputy Commissioner of Police, Law and Order, Trichy City. Basically, I'm from Andhra Pradesh. The thing is, I received one letter from ma'am, Ramani Devi ma'am, through Commissioner sir, that ma'am is planning to conduct one Zoom meeting regarding domestic violence. So immediately I approached ma'am and informed that ma'am, fix one date and we will join. But because of some bandobast and all, Commissioner sir was unable to attend. He's unable to attend the meeting right now. From police point of view, we can divide entire cases into 3 ways. The first thing is the POCSO related. I mean, like kids, violence against kids and all. Second thing is middle age group, around 15 to 20, 50. And at that age, no, most of people, they are getting trapped and they are going along with some guys and they are coming back and they are coming with some complaints. And the next one is during their marital life. So now we are dealing with the domestic violence cases. So in this, the number of complaints that we are receiving is very less in Trichy city. The reason, as ma'am said, mostly because they have kind of fear in reaching the police, or they have kind of fear, maybe it will lead to some family quarrel kind of thing. So for that, what Commissioner sir was thought, maybe it's because of COVID time also, sir thought of giving one WhatsApp number. See, we can receive petitions in different forms. The first thing is we can they can directly send a mail to the Commissioner sir or to myself, stating that this is the problem for us. So we'll contact the concerned inspector, only woman inspector. We have separate Almana police stations. We'll ask the concerned inspector to go and attend the issue. Otherwise, they can send message to WhatsApp number 9626273399, which is available in Trichy city police website also and Facebook page also. They can send complaint to that WhatsApp number. Otherwise, they can send a letter in a register post through any means. Otherwise, they can reach some patrol vehicle who is on those who are roaming in their areas, or they can reach the beat officers also, and they can inform the complaint to the concerned police officer. So what we will do, we will compile all the complaints. We will get all the complaints based on the gravity of the crime. We will inform to concerned officer. It may be to Assistant Commissioner of Police, or it may be to inspectors. It may be to SIs, women SIs, and all. There are the different way of disposal of the thing. Most of the women, they may feel like police coming to their home may be a bad thing, or these people going to the police station, it may be a bad thing. If somebody is feeling like that, we will call both of them, their husband and wife, or if it is related to some in-laws and all, we will call to some other place and we will do some discreet inquiry without knowing to the relatives or friends and all. We have started 3 kind of petition disposal. The first thing is on the spot petition inquiry. Suppose if some complaint comes and if she feels like there is no problem, they can directly come, the police can directly come and can give counseling at home itself. The police, they themselves will go, they'll clear the issue at the home itself. That's the on the spot inquiry. Then they need not come to police station and they need not sit in front of the police and do all this. Directly police will go to their home and they will clear the issue. Second thing is petition mela. Suppose the husband stays in Chennai, wife stays at Trichy. So they are having some marital dispute or something. So we can't go to the spot and we can't clear the petition. So what we will do, we'll issue summons to the both the parties. Like we'll issue summons to the person who is at Chennai and we'll issue summons to the person who is at Trichy. We'll give particular date on 5th of this month or 6th of this month. Then we will conduct one mass petition mela. We have classic examples where we cleared most of the domestic violence cases and dispute cases in petition mela. So we call both the parties. They'll come along with their documents and their parents and all. We'll we'll ask them to sit, we'll give proper counseling, and we clear the issues. The only thing from police point of view is never hesitate to come and complain. So feel free, we are here to work for you. At any point of time, you can contact any of the police officer. You can make a call to 100, or you can send a message to WhatsApp. If somebody is harassing you, or if somebody is irritating you, or if you are walking on the road, if somebody is teasing you, you can just take the video, or you can just click one picture and send it to the officer, or send it to the concern number, or send it to the Trichy City Police WhatsApp page or Facebook page, whatever. Immediately we will take action. We are here to help you, and we will do discreet inquiry also. We will ensure that you won't get affected because of this inquiry and all. So I request through the doctors group who are present here, those who will come to you in this way, some domestic violence or some other harassment or in any way, if you come to know also, feel free to contact me. I'll ask Ramani ma'am to share my number. Ma'am is having my WhatsApp number and personal number. I'll ask Ramani ma'am to share my number. You can at any point of time, night at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, if you feel they feel they're insecure. One more thing is the old age persons, old age people who are staying at home, they may also maybe they are getting harassed by their kids, possible. Old ladies and parents. So they can also complain at any point of time. We are ready to take action at any point of time. We are there to help you always. And commissioners are also asked me to tell, there no need of fear. We are working towards community policing only. So feel free to come. Feel free to inform your grievances. We will settle the issue then and there. If you can't settle the issue, then we will call to some spot. Then we will conduct the inquiry and we will clear the issue. And at the end, I am very much happy to share that my wife is also a doctor. So, and I am so much happy in participating in this event. And thank you, Ramani ma'am, for inviting me for this meeting. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Pavan Kumar.
Madam Ramani, one second.
Yeah.
I would like to request Mr. Pavan Kumar that the gender sensitization for the police officials can be conducted. I'll also write to the commissioner formally. So that is one first step, as Madam was saying that they are concentrating on reproductive health and screening, all those things. So Women's Studies Department can do gender sensitization. So that is the first step. Because in my study, it was revealed that the women are not coming forward, or even if they're coming forward to report the domestic violence issues, the big polices are not really accepting. I'm talking about 5 to 6 years back study. But anyway, the gender sensitization would definitely be helping. That is one thing. And second, you please fill out the WhatsApp group number again, because some of the participants are asking, so that it will be shared. Can you just
Yes,
spell out slowly so that they will be?
I
that
will put it in the chat box, madam. I will put it in the chat box.
I'll just repeat again.
WhatsApp group helpline number. You have, yeah.
Ma'am, 96
96
26 27
okay
7 3399. 9626273399.
Yes, sir. I will share it in the chat box so that everybody.
One small request, ma'am, regarding gender sensitization. I am repeating again. If anyone feels like the people who are on road, I mean like the beat officers or patrolling vehicle officers, if they are not responding properly, feel free to contact senior officers. There is nothing wrong. We are here to serve for you. I will give my number also. You please save 9498 1111 25. 9498 111125. If you feel somewhere you are not getting the justice, or if they are not responding properly, or if you feel like if they are not behaving with you in a proper way, feel free to contact me. Just take a picture, take a video and forward it to me, or just write a complaint and forward it to me. I'll take care of the issue. And you can complain me at night 2, 3, 4 at any point of time. I'll be very much happy to serve you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pavan Kumar. I think it was a wonderful, even though it is a very small talk, very precise one, how the public can access the police because as you have rightly pointed out, whenever there is a family dispute, these women are so bothered. If they go into the police station, they will be looked down upon, but they should understand that they too have the rights and they too have the dignity, and they should be in a position to get over all these things, and we must stand unique as a women. I think women should be empowered only by education and knowledge. It can only happen, sir. Thank you for your presence.
One last word, ma'am. If ma'am is ready to create some awareness programs regarding any domestic violence issues, we are very much ready to tie up with you, and we are very much ready to work out on that. At any
Sure,
point of
sir.
time,
Yeah.
we can. Please
Yeah,
let me
I
know.
will
Definitely, sir.
definitely
Yeah.
get in touch with
Yes,
you.
yes.
We
Thank
should
you, ma'am. Then
make
I'll take leave, ma'am. Then.
Can I?
Yeah, thank you,
just-
sir.
I would like to really thank Mr. Pavan Kumar Reddy, sir. Really, it's an honor to have you here, and very happy to know that you are from our own place. And you're doing very good work in Trichy, I can make out. And when I saw you, were a very young looking boy. So imagine I just felt, the way you have the passion at such a young age, that's what is needed. What we need is men to partner with women, to say no to violence against women. And I think that's the best combination. You have a man who is committed to no to violence against women. So Trichy is going to be very well taken care of. I'm so sure, Ramani. So thank you
Definitely.
once again for being with us, sir.
Definitely, Shanta. And thank you, Mr. Pavan Kumar. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
We should
Okay.
can we have your involvement in some of our programs
Yes,
also?
ma'am.
So
Sure, ma'am.
that,
Sure, ma'am.
that will
Very
bring,
much happy.
yes, sir. I will be in touch with you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank
Okay, thank you, sir. Now let us move on to the most awaited Shanta Madam's talk.
So Ramani, how much time you are going to give me? I have a big one. I can make it short according to the.
Maybe 15 to 20 minutes. It's enough, or if you want to
Oh,
take.
no, enough. I
Enough.
can make
Okay,
it
then
less
go ahead.
also because.
Okay.
Okay, right. Can you all see my screen? Yes.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
That was actually this is a very good program, Ramani. I'm very happy that you have initiated this, and more important is this program reaching out to women and police personnel. See, it is very good that you have a very committed assistant commissioner of police and a commissioner of police who are committed to this most important aspect of women's health. But at the same time, when you are able to actually reach out to the many of the junior police officers, they may not be the IPS cadre, the constables, the SIs, circle inspectors, all these people, because they are the people who are actually on the field day to day. As he was telling, any petrol vehicle, anybody doing the gasti, or any of them who are on the routine rounds, if they are so very receptive to any woman's problem, I think we will be able to help our women better. We really congratulate you. And yes, in fact, as you said, no to violence against women is very close to my heart. And actually, it all started off, let me tell you, when I was actually introduced to the FIGO, and I became a part of the FIGO working room on no to violence against women in 2015. And at that time, we were just one. We used to really think that violence against women and all is something which is there, but I never realized till that time that how very important it is as an obstetrician and gynecologist to be involved in these sort of issues. So we have been hearing about history, we have been hearing about so many stories. Now, all of us have so much of respect, and I don't know what else we can say about Ramayana, Mahabharata. But what did all those epics also teach us? The way a woman was treated in Ramayana and the way the woman was treated in Mahabharata, where a woman was disrobed in the presence of very many seniors. And that was the unfortunate state of women in our epics. And if you look at present day, we have seen Hatras, we have seen so many incidents, and nothing has changed. We have found that women have gone to space. We have heard about Kalpana Chawla. We have heard about so many women, and we have seen Nobel women laureates. We have seen the best of doctors. We have seen IPS officers, everyone, IAS officers. We had women prime ministers. But over the years, we have seen that actually nothing much has changed. And year-wise, I was just seeing from 2017 to 18, when slowly the world over globally, everyone is looking towards sustainable developmental goals and other things, and people started being more vocal because social media is there. Now you have just seen how the police have come out with a WhatsApp number. So communication has become easy. And but in spite of it, when you see from 2017 to 18, the rate of crime against women had increased. So instead of decreasing, we unfortunately find that the rate is increasing. And when you look at our Indian map, beautiful map, Assam did have very high incidence, but unfortunately, even Delhi, our capital, has very high rate. That doesn't mean I come from Telangana state. It's a very new state. We have got a great chief minister and a fantastic city and all, but we are also not very backward in the violence against women. We also have a huge number of violence against women. So everyone was wondering when we started this movement and talking about it, why are we gynecologists worried? Why do we need to talk about violence against women? We need to talk against violence because it intersects with health issues and it has an impact on pregnancy, and the role of an obstetrician and gynecologist is very important. We just heard our IPS officer telling that women are scared of going to a police station. So if any woman has a problem, she will not go to the police station. She will not go to the lawyer. She will not go to the politician. She will come and reach out to her doctor, who is the first point of contact. That is the importance of an obstetrician gynecologist. I have told this statement hundreds of times over this past 5 years to everyone. And I am a daughter of an obstetrician gynecologist. I have grown up seeing patients, medicines, medical representatives. I used to see when women used to come, the mother will come with the daughter and she will complain against a mother-in-law. The daughter-in-law will come and complain against the mother-in-law. I've seen even mother-in-laws complaining against the daughter-in-law. And my mother used to sit and talk and advise and all. So sometimes, you have to go out or somewhere. I used to go and say, why are you taking so much time? You finish the clinic and come fast. And I used to ask her, you have already finished giving treatment over, no? Now, why you are sitting and spending 5-10 minutes of so much time with her waist to come as a child? But now I understand that was the importance of the relationship of an obstetrician gynecologist to a patient. And over the period of time, somewhere we have actually got lost in the advances in medical care, and we don't have time, we are too busy, and we don't, that empathy is lost. It's become, because it has become commercial, because naturally when they're going to treat a doctor in the consumer forum, naturally we also tend to become sort of commercialized attitudes, but that is not a doctor's intent. We all know that empathy is very important, and we all gynecologists, most of us have women and we have got a lot of men gynecologists. We are very empathetic to our patients because we are the first point of contact. And it started with, we started the Save the Girl Child was very important because the violence against women starts from the home. Female feticide to creating the awareness in the society. Actually, the violence against women is one of the most shameful human rights violation, and it has no boundaries of geography, culture, or wealth.
இத டச் பண்ணா அவங்க பேசுறது வருமா? டச் பண்ணா அவங்க பிரசன்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்கமா, பேசிட்டு தாமா இருக்காங்க.
Everybody mute everybody. Okay, go ahead.
And any behavior which is causing physical, sexual, psychological, and reproductive coercion, forcing a woman to live in fear, that is the definition. And UN reported forced pregnancy, forced abortion, forced sterilization, denial of family planning are all forms of violence against women. And we gynecologists are dealing with these conditions. So reproductive coercion is a norm rather than an exception. And that is what we should actually fight against. And we should give the woman the sexual and reproductive right to decide what is good for her and what is good for her family. And it definitely affects the impact of the global disease. And about 35% of women undergo violence at the hands of their partner. So friends, when the incidence in Southeast Asia was about 38%, and the extent of the problem is there in every part of the globe. 10 to 69% of women report physical abuse by an intimate partner globally, and the same holds true be it in America or Europe or Africa or Asia. This was reported by my dear friend Garcia, who's from WHO, and we find that that is the same in India. By the time we finish talking, 1 in 3 minutes there's a crime. So in the 15-20 minutes, imagine the number of women who are actually wronged. And women in India, unfortunately, have the highest rate of violence during pregnancy. And we have heard about patriarchal terrorism, honor killings, even in these days, unfortunately. So the global prevalence, look here, the North America, everyone wants to go get an American visa, green card, or some card and go there. But there also they have so much of violence. Europe, South America is almost like our country. South Asia, everywhere violence is there. I always say, even if you look at the other colleges and all, RCOG, yes, they had one woman president when in the time when the World War, when all the men went for war, and only last time they had a woman president for the RCOG. After 60 years, only they had a female president, and America has not seen a female president till now. We in India are much better. Globally, I find we are in a better of situation. And this shows that we are among the Southeast Asias where there's a high burden of violence against women. And simple reasons: burning the food, does not cook properly, arguing with him, goes out without telling him, neglecting children, refusing to have sex, and showing disrespect to in-laws. They need some reason to commit this violence against women. And unfortunately, women are at a great risk of domestic violence because of it's a silent pandemic, and that has increased during this COVID pandemic. The COVID lockdowns, the UN has shown that the violence against women domestic violence has increased because the woman is forced to stay at home with the perpetrator. And in fact, Malaysia and so many countries have reported more such evidences because the shadow pandemic has come out in a big way in this pandemic. As I told you, every state has this violence against women. And to be born as a girl, discriminated from womb to tomb, right from pre-birth, sex-selective abortion. If it's a girl, female child, abort it. Is this what we need to actually give to our girls? In fact, unfortunately, from Tamil Nadu, so from Trichy, Salem, and all, my dad is from Salem, so I'm very much a part of that area. The incidence of female feticide is so high. And that is very unfortunate. I am a female child. I was my grandfather and all are from Salem. So I think I've been very lucky that I've been allowed to be born. And so I have become a doctor. But imagine so many girls have not been allowed to be born. And that is what we need to actually look into. And then all the female infanticides, the child marriages, genital mutilation is there even in our country. To all the other problems, we just heard about this dating, courtship violence, rapes, abuses, trafficking, marital rape, all these violences. So any sort of physical, sexual, psychological, we have to say no. And we are worried about the sexual violence, physical violence in pregnancy. Women will come with some other problem. They may come with a vulval hematoma. Check. This was for not willing for sexual intercourse during that time. Sometimes women presents with preeclampsia, unconsciousness. Actually, and postpartum, you take history, the husband had kicked her and she had fallen and she had got fits. And it was actually masked as eclampsia. Primary PROM, again, rupture of uterus, a case of brutal kicking on the abdomen by the husband. So the effects of intimate partner violence and pregnancy outcome we saw in our government maternity hospital was very high. It was equivalent to what the UN data was. So make sure that you know what is the exact cause. Look for the physical markers. Look for the psychological markers to see if you can pick up anything behind the patient's physical symptoms. Psychological health markers, depression, chronic anxiety, they may come with some stomach ache. When you examine, nothing may be wrong in your clinic. So you'll be wondering why she's going on coming to me. Friends, maybe you need to take 2 minutes and find out, is there anything behind that stomach ache, which actually there was no clinical sign or symptom and no investigation was wrong. So that is where violence and women's health are intersecting. Women are dying because of a disease we cannot treat, not dying because of that part, because they're dying because societies have yet to make the decision that their lives are worth saving. We have heard this Mohammed Fatala statement millions of times, and I hope a day comes when we don't have to use this statement. And global maternal mortality, we see, is also attributed to the violence against women. And that is the reason we have to be alert to intimate partner violence. And HIV and AIDS cannot be targeted or reduced till we reduce this violence against women. The violence is the root cause when the men don't want to use condoms in spite of having a retroviral infection. So that is the importance of this. And this was a group which was started, the working group, and now it became a part of the FIGO. We have the Human Rights Committee with No to Violence Against Women and Refugees' Rights. So friends, in this background, I realized that we are in a unique position to assess and provide support for women and who are experiencing violence because of the nature of our relationship. And we have a special stakeholder in women's health. That's how we initiated this DHERA, where the FOXY was committed to speak up and focus and work hand in hand with all the stakeholders in this issue. So DHERA means courage, conviction, strength to say no. We want to sensitize ourselves and the public. We want to have an advocacy, give call, and focus on action and say stop or no to violence against women and partner with men. So this was the reason this DHERA was initiated. We first came up with a public forum cyclothon, basically to make people aware that we need to talk about this violence. And this was where we partnered with the police. This was the Bharosa, Swati Lakra, she was heading it, the IPS officer. Bharosa was a government initiative, which is an excellent cell where it's a 1-point forum where everything, the police, the lawyers, psychologists, everyone are there to help the women. We did rope in some celebrities to help us so that the media would identify and start talking. Why do we need to talk? Why do we need the press? Because when we make a sound and noise, then people know that this sort of thing is being noted and they will try to reduce. See, they'll be a little scared to do acts because they know they're being watched. And UN has identified an orange color to say no to violence against women. That's why no to war was with orange. And we actually did a lot of this program. Then 2017 to 18, again, we have partnered with men to say no. And in fact, the FIGO was the president elect Carlos was there. At that time, the CN Purandare was the president. So the president and the future president of FIGO were there. And we had the male police officer who was Mr. Anurag Sharma, who was the police commissioner. So we took everyone to actually raise the voice to say no. In fact, I have to say this was in FLASOG, South America. FLASOG is a Latin American society. The incidence of violence against women is high. And it's a male-dominated societies. We in India are much better. We are more empowered than those women. When I fought and said in Cancun FLASOG conference, they have once in 3 years, 2017 this was, I said, we have to do a FIGO march. Then they did not agree. Then finally they said, okay, we'll have a press meeting, because politically they didn't want. And in the press meeting, this was the thing. You see, all the men were there. Then I said, how can it be that so many gynecologists are there? They are not involved. And after I fought, then Evan Ortiz, my friend, I said, okay, you all want to talk. And then they all left us with the press and went off. We did speak. We did insist. But I don't know whether they translated what I spoke correctly in the Spanish language. So in FIGO that time, CN sir was the president, and then Johan was the CEO. He said, your DHERA march is very good. We have to do it in the FIGO Congress. Again, Brazil did lot of noise. They said, no, it's politically motivated. No. We got this no to violence against women resolution signed in FIGO. And then we put our foot down and we did this no to violence against women march, and that was success. Again, even Brazil had a woman lady police officer. She was there, partnered with us. And then that time, many countries, the UK, South America, Africa, our Southeast Asian countries, all the gynecologists, and everyone started talking, yes, we need to protest. And that's how that momentum started with this DHERA when we took it to FIGO. And then the world over, actually, Carlos had told me to take this in all the countries this year. he had given me the job to do this Dhira in all the countries, but unfortunately COVID has come, so we couldn't do the public programs. And ISAR was the last conference we had. Here also we realized that violence against women, especially those who are infertile, is also there. That is leading to a lot of domestic violence. We did do a program on how violence is affecting the infertility. So please realize the harsh reality and look at some of the countries. This was what Padmati Naidu had given me. You know, there are some pharmacies who are actually in supermarkets in France and Spain are providing a safety network, and some countries, they have given, the police have given some rooms for safety, especially in the lockdown. So learn from all of them and try to understand the role of the healthcare system. And if you are experiencing violence during COVID, it's a reach out, call, seek out. This is what the WHO and everyone is advocating. So friends, violence against women to be detected in pregnancy, and we obstetrician gynecologists definitely play a pivotal role in stopping this violence against women. We need to screen and be a little more alert to help our patients. So the journey of Dhira never ends, and hope that we will reach the end soon, which may be a dream, but I think the most important is to stop violence against women. It's only talking, what is it that we can do? But when we keep on talking, then the awareness will increase even among the people who are suffering, that they can say no, and some sort of scare or something in the men who are actually doing the violence. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying that there is no violence against men or anything, but any woman who is subjected to violence, I think, needs to stand up and say no. No means no. That's the most important thing. So thank you, friends, for your patient hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Shanta, for such a very nice talk in a simple way where everybody can understand. I think as gynecologists in Trichy, I also have come across so many problems. The patients, they, as you said rightly, they will quietly come and wait for some time, and they will come into the room saying, "Madam, I have this problem. Can you help me?" See, now I think it is for the attenders that we have what's called as Kavalan. That's a group that is, you can press it at any time in an Android phone. The girl has got, immediately it will go into the nearest police station, where in times of crucial times of emergency, she can be contacted. I think recently I saw that in one of the serials, Tamil serials, in a very simple way they had shown it. I think that was a very good idea where they have done it. And I think Shanta, in my vernacular language, for the people who have attended, in the program, Madam Shantakumari vande, how she has taken the flag of Tamil Nadu flag.
Madam, you are not audible.
Okay.
You are not audible. Please unmute.
Yeah, I have unmuted. I am unmuted. See, நம்ம தமிழ்ல இந்தியன் இதை வந்து எப்படி அவங்க வந்து இன்டர்நேஷனல் லெவல்ல கொண்டு போயிருக்காங்கங்கறத அவங்க அழகா அவங்களுடைய பிரசன்டேஷன்ல வந்து நமக்கு சொன்னாங்க. ஐ திங்க் டாக்டர் மிஸ்டர் பவன்குமாரும் நம்மளுக்கு எல்லாத்துக்கும் ஒரு சப்போர்ட்டிவா இருக்காங்க. November 25th is the day of domestic violence. So மணிமேகலை மேடம் நோட் பண்ணுங்க. இத வந்து நம்மளுடைய டீம், நானும் மணிமேகலை மேடமும் we have done so many projects together, especially for the menstrual hygiene. கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 60-70 ஸ்கூல்ஸ் வந்து we had reached, ஸ்கூல் குரூப்ஸ் வந்து ரீச் பண்ணிருக்கோம். சோ இதே டீமை வச்சு நம்ம இந்த வயலன்ஸ் அகைன்ஸ்ட் விமனை வந்து I think we should spread the message entirely to the தமிழ்நாடு. இதுதான் இன்னைக்கு நம்மள இந்த மீட்டிங்கை நடத்துறதோட பர்பஸா இருக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன் மேடம். I think
definitely
together. பெண்கள் நினைச்சா எதையும் செய்ய முடியாதுன்னு எதுவுமே கிடையாது.
I think you only look for people like you to collaborate and offer this.
Thank you, madam.
Okay,
I think
thank you.
It is the education what the women should even provided. So I next request Dr. Manimegalai madam to give her experience regarding domestic violence in Trichy district. அவங்கள பத்தி ஒரு few words தான் சொன்னாங்க. Actually, to say she has been doing lot of help for all the self-help group women and the women entrepreneurship க்கு நிறைய பண்றாங்க. she keeps periodic meetings. நான் இந்த மீட்டிங்கை பத்தி பேசினப்ப கூட சொன்னாங்க, நான் ஆக்சுவலா இந்த விமன் வயலன்ஸ் அகேன்ஸ்ட் விமன் அண்ட் டொமஸ்டிக் வயலன்ஸ்ல தான் இருக்கிறேன் மேடம், 3 days எனக்கு ப்ரோக்ராம் இருக்கு அப்படின்னாங்க. So it was very nice, and we have jointly worked together, and she's very much motivated, and she can drag a group of people behind her. And I think நம்ம இந்த program domestic violence பத்தி ஒரு awareness நம்ம districtல with the help of the police department we should create. Manimegale madam, over to you. We are eagerly waiting to
Thank you.
listen
Thank
to
you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Beloved President-elect of Foxy, I also thank you for your presence, and keep a note here. We have been working with Foxy also for a long, some couple of years back. We did a youth program also, youth leadership program for about 15 colleges. So thanks to the then Foxy president. And also several other programs which are related to menstrual hygiene management and also endometrial issues. Particularly Dr. Ramani is specialized in that. So we are doing that also. So we have been, it is very close to our heart whenever we collaborate with the TRIACS, of course, here in Trichy, and also Foxy. And we will also be happy to have with FIGO that you are associated with. And it was a very, very important note that you have left with when you are making that presentation. And definitely in the years to come, we will collaborate and work. And as far as my topic is concerned, it is prevalence of domestic violence in Trichy district. In fact, I have done a study on domestic violence and its association with alcoholism and domestic violence. So that was a huge, major research project. And also it came out as a PhD thesis for one of the students who worked on that. And it was done for, I mean, the secondary data wise, we took 3 districts, namely Tiruchi, Pudukkottai, and Tanjavur. But the primary data we have collected from Tiruchi district were about 175 cases who reported to protection officer, because as per this domestic violence, the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, PWDA, these protection officers are supposed to be appointed. And in fact, we didn't have the protection officers appointed for a long. In fact, India sanctions acts and no provisions or budgeting will be allocated. And there were lobby from development organizations, from NGOs, from women's groups, women's organizations, autonomous and non-autonomous groups, etc. And we could get this protection officers employed in each of the districts. So they are associated with the district social welfare office, and they were attending the cases. So once it is reported, it will be taken to the protection officer, and then they will be proceeding with either resolving there or taking to the court. So it depends how it will be, how intense the problem is. So we have done this study here in Tiruchirappalli district in Bharathidasan University. I'm going to just share the findings, the major findings. This may not be very any startling in the sense, every day we have been observing people reporting domestic violence, and therefore it may not be a new thing, but still it is from the primary study. So it would be also contributing. I just quote, it is no difference whether it is Peru or in India, Tamil Nadu, Tiruchi, the same thing happens. So one woman who was interviewed at Peru for domestic violence was saying, so it was reported there in the UN pages. So I take a blanket and I spend the night with my children out in the cold because he's hitting me too much. I have to take the kids to stop him hitting them too. I will go out in the fields and sleep there all night. I have done that more than 10 times. So this is from Peru. Where here in our study, Ms. Kanaga, of course I have to change her name, Chitra. She's a mother of 2 daughters. Her husband is a ration shop wage earning job only. And incidentally, of course, he has been right from the beginning hitting, fully drunkard, and then drinking, and then come and beating her. And in some course of time, he also married Chitra's sister, younger sister also. So 2 wives. It's all very normalized in the Indian context, and nobody questions also. I have asked whether it is because the first wife doesn't have the sons. So in the second wife also doesn't have, and therefore no issue. But he married and he started grabbing the money being earned by both the wives. They stay also separate. What happens occasionally, not every day, he would be fully drunkard and drunk and come and beat not only this wife, the daughters too. And in the night they will be all of them will their house coats, not even dressed proper. They'll be sent out and they should go out, shouldn't be visible to him at all. So they will go and hide themselves. This is happening in very Tiruchi, Bhimanagar, where I am coming from. So I'm not drawing any experience from outside. So this is what so since they, and she's a domestic helper, so she used to come to our home for sheltering for that day. And that too, she didn't do that. When she shared this, I told that, why don't you come? So that is what one day she shared this, and this is what the kind of the whole night they'll be there somewhere, some corners. These kids, not kids, grown-up daughters, some 18 years old and 15 years old. And thanks to this domestic helper, she made her daughter study well. And they are working. One daughter, first daughter, is working in a college, in a Saranathan College of Engineering. And one more girl is also working in a shop. A manager is in a concern. So that is a kind of a willpower the woman has. But whether it is Peru or Tiruchi, Bhimanagar, doesn't make a difference. So coming down further to this, and also this November 25th is an international day for elimination of all forms of violence against women. So that is the day, of course, as Dr. Ramani pointed out, we used to observe 16 days of activism. It starts from the 25th November to 10th, that is a Human Rights Day, December. So we will definitely plan all these 16 days of activism, and we had programs like Ms. Bimla also present here, the 1 billion rising. So you have to rise and say to the society, no violence, no violence, as Dr. Santakumari pointed out. So we are talking about domestic violence. So domestic violence consists of the physical violence, verbal violence, emotional violence, the sexual violence too, and end up into psychological violence. And for the first time, it is very, very unique in this act, that is you have the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. Very uniqueness of this act is that you you don't just punish the violent perpetrator or the man or the husband, whoever it may be, but the members of the family too. So whether it is the mother, the sister, the in-laws, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, they will also be party to it. And therefore, that is the uniqueness of this. And before this act came, there were about 25 years of fight. Like we have been fighting for 33% reservation for parliament. We are not able to succeed. Likewise, you had to fight because the women were tortured, put into a lot of violence, and there was no legal provision to safeguard their interest. And therefore, thanks to all the women's groups who fought and got this in 2005, it's a civil remedy wherein this definitely protects the women from domestic violence, and it underlines that no man has a right to say that you go out of this home. That is the peculiar feature of this scheme. But unfortunately, in my study, it was revealed that 94% of the out of 175 participants I've interviewed, around 94% they stay with their parents. So where is the question of this act? The very important provision is that you should not go say his wife to go out. No question of sending them out. He has to in fact provide space, though you are not in good terms, you are not in relationship, you have to provide space for her to stay in your own house. But that is not happening in the reality. That is what it is, the gap between what is being there in the legislation and what is being practiced. So domestic violence is normalized. That is the question. Very, very important question is that, okay, ஆம்பளைனா அப்படிதான் இருப்பான். So they in fact, when we had not one meeting, several meetings, when we used to ask in one of the meetings, which was about agricultural laborers, impact of globalization, etc. In that meeting, there in the very field itself, we organized a meeting in the Panchayat building near Tiruvarambur, Tiruchi. So there were around 100 and odd women present. And in due course of the discussion, in addition to what the globalization, its impact on agricultural laborers, etc., I did talk about gender. And I asked a simple question whether your husband is okay, whether he will be sharing the household work, because we only see that or expect that in the villages, the men also share the household work. And so they were, and incidentally, I asked the question whether they drink, the adipangala, kudipangala, adipangala. Immediately, two women stood up and said, if what I should say, if not my husband, who else will beat me? So this is what the kind of, it is not only here, even in the NHS survey also, it was quite surprising that when I had the discussion, this kind of response came. So when I gone through this NHS survey also, National Family Health Survey, there again the responses were like this. So it is universal, and people take it for granted that husband's beating is, or wife beating, sorry, is very normal. ஆம்பளைங்கன்னா அப்படிதான் இருப்பாங்க, இன்னொரு வீட்டோட போகாம பாக்குறதுக்கு ஒனிதான் சரியா இருந்துக்கணும். So pointing to women is always happening, and you justify that. So that is the irony, that is the paradox. Why you have an act on the one hand and get reported, because in my study it was again revealing that when it was very worst kind of an experience, that the woman daily coming and sexually, it is also called marital rape. You attack the woman, assault the women, and also demand them whatever the money they earn and keep, also you grab and go. And in one of the households there were three wives for one man. He will comfortably sitting every day, these three wives will go out and work and bring money, and he will always have a note of a small chit in that for each wife he notes, make a note of it, this is to be paid to this shop, whether it is wine shop or tea shop or hotels, mini hotel, whatever it may be. He will conveniently sitting back home and take money of all the three. So when I asked this woman, why three women are for one man, what is the, it was a study among the lower income groups in the urban poor settlements in Trichy. So they said, in fact, we did this survey to check whether the Domestic Violence Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act is really working, or what does it mean for the women. That is what the study started, and to our surprise, this was the response. They said, even if it is three wives, doesn't matter, but we have a quote unquote in Tamil ஆளுன்னு ஒருத்தன் இருக்கான்ல அப்படின்னு. So the society still believes that a male is required, even if you have three women with the relationship as a partner to a man, still they feel that the having one man even is, I mean, a man itself is a protection. So that is the kind of a perception on which the society is leading us to, and therefore the women are falling prey for that, and it is very difficult to come out. So on the one hand, they feel that violence is normal, domestic violence or whatever, and the wife beating is normal. And if you again go to the pages of National Family Health Survey, it will reveal that the questions would be like how many, I mean, whether it is right or wrong. They will say, if it is, if the woman comes late, or if woman doesn't inform her husband when she goes out, and if she goes out and come back late, all these are all wrong. Tappu panna adikano. That is the response. So what do you mean by that wrong or tappu? These are the reasons given. So still women, how subordination is really overruling them again, and it is also helping the man to reinforce that when you go out, you must inform. It's not inform, you have to get permission, and if he doesn't permit, you can't go even to visit your own parents. And if you go late, I mean, go and return late. For example, when we conducted a meeting about environmental awareness among the rural women, sorry to say this, there one word I'm saying, it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They were all on their toes to move. Then I just asked a question, whether you will be scolded by your husband. They said, evanadi paathutu vanda. That was the very response coming from that woman. Whom did you go to see? That is the kind of a thing. Even in this study, majority of the domestic violence were very much on the suspicion aspect. The woman, if they are going out, only after 175 women, there are around 50 and odd, 56% are homemakers only. Only rest of them are in the formal or informal work. Formal work is very, very minimum. In the macro context also, it is only 6% in the formal sector of the total employed women or women in paid work. Here it is not a surprise. So most of them are informal sector and wage earning, and their average earning was also only 5,000 or less. So it's not a very attractive employment in which they are engaged in. But even then, that money was helping them. But unfortunately, that is not actually being helping, because most of the time they are under that. Because in this case, as far as this particular study is concerned, all this 175 women were all into issues of facing some form of domestic violence, be it verbal abuse or emotional abuse or physical abuse or sexual abuse. I'll be at least a few slides. I'll show what are the patterns, the factors, the consequences that will be revealing to a certain extent how the cruel it is in certain cases. And home is no longer safe for millions of women. Because on the one hand it is domestic violence, on the other there are other issues also. The girls are not safe. The violence against women or the molestation or even rape occurs from very known persons. So even the parents who are going out for work, they push the girls into early marriage for one of the reasons that they are not safe. Even if they are staying their own home, they are not safe. When I asked in certain couple of parents there in the village where they got into early marriage, they said this is the reason. And alcohol abuse of their partners is one of the major determinants of the domestic violence. And the very study itself was focusing on, because alcohol consumption has been associated positively with the domestic violence and different forms of and intensity also. As you drink further and further, the intensity of domestic violence in different forms, particularly the worst form of sexual violence, sexual assault, and very cruel kind of burning your skin with cigarettes, etc., or burning the cigarettes on your private parts, etc., are also happening. This is a kind of extreme eccentric behavior that these men are involved in. And women, almost all these women who are coming to protection officer, leave alone say 10%, the 90% of them would be coming only after a very cruel kind of an experience that they face. So whoever comes here and report, it's not simply the case of simple verbal abuse or any other simple violence. So the study was conducted. I already told 175 cases reported to their protection officer. And the key findings revealed that the major finding was that it is happening irrespective of the age, religion, because 75% of them are into Hindus, the Muslims are 4%, the rest is the Christian persons. Of course, the majority religion is Hinduism, and therefore it is 75%. And the average age was 31, so it is not very old women. And that too, around 75% of the domestic violence experienced were very much very intensive to this age group of 21 and 30. So though the 31 is the average age, the domestic violence starts right from the 21, and some of them got into one-third of them. One-third of them got early marriage. That means even before 18 years. And so they started domestic violence from that year onwards. And for about 35, at least 10 years of age difference between partners. Like 35% of the participants said that the age difference between the partner and her would be 10. Majority of the cases, it is not much. And I already told 94% of them are staying with their parents or outside, not with their husbands, because of this domestic violence issue. And what happened to that 9%? I mean 6%. Not all the 100% are residing with their husband, sorry, with the parents, because these 6% feel that if they go out or go back home to their parents also, it may not be much rewarding. And also the family honor is to be protected. So and also children, always in the Indian context, it will be attributed to children. and therefore for the sake of children, they sustain bearing whatever the kind of a violence they face. And this has been happening to these women for about a minimum of 10 years to 30 years. Some of the women aged 30, 50, 60 are also there exceptional, not the average happen to be 31, but in some cases it is 50, 55. So they have been experiencing for even 30 years together. So a person is experiencing domestic violence for 30 and odd years, but still sustaining, surviving for only a reason that the family honor is to be protected and the children's life should not be get spoiled. And as far as the nature of family is concerned, doesn't make any difference because 50% of them are living in large joint family and 50% nuclear families. So I cannot say that people who are in nuclear families alone get into this domestic violence or joint families. It is equally contributing. So that is also one of the important findings. And this education wise, they are all educated except only one woman who is illiterate, who is not able to write and read. Others are all literate, either school completed or even moved to graduation. So here again, the domestic violence is not only confined to less educated or only more educated. It is providing to all. It doesn't matter whether you are educated or less educated. And 60% of them are homemakers, I already told. So they are dependent. That is the important information to be shared. And the remaining are in the formal and informal sector. Formal sector means at least you will be equipped with all social security. And informal means you will have to go to work, get wage. If you don't go, you don't get it. So no other this thing. And also 90% below, earn only below 50,000 per month. And all these women, 100% of the women, even those who are earning also, not aware of what kind of the expenditure, the income, the savings, the debt, etc. If something happens to the husband also, they may not be aware of that. And some household, it is the in-laws and the male, that is the husband, they manage everything. And therefore these women are just there, just as a homemaker. She will turn to all the duties of the care economy, the elders care, the social reproductive activities, etc., including reproduction. And the other lot, they will be looking after whatever the other kind of, they are not at all what I should say, informed about what is the kind of the economy the family is facing, etc. And majority, and as far as the factors, there are some influencing factors for this. Why this domestic violence is? Domestic violence, I said, whether it is physical violence, sexual violence, emotional violence, whatever. But in this particular case, it is mostly of, I'll be also telling what are the very intensive nature of violence experienced in this study. So alcohol consumption, of course, the study itself was attributing it just started with the pretext that alcoholism contributes to the domestic violence, and therefore it was some control group taken, some 30 odd households where non-alcoholic husbands' households were taken. Here again, the domestic violence is prevailing, and the rest will be the other 175, of course, the alcohol husbands. And extramarital relationship, lack of earnings, and of course suspicion, I already told you. These are the major factors which are responsible, or causes which are responsible for this. Then of course, as far as the gender questions are concerned, in the patriarchal context, the marriage itself is patrilocal. So the vulnerability of women is that they can get married off, they pay dowry also. Dowry was once with certain communities, certain class. Now it is everywhere. You started learning from the upper caste community and upper income group, and even the lower income group. A person who is an attender there in our university, one fine morning got married, and he was coming with a 1 lakh worth of bike. So when we asked, he said it is all very common that when we might get married, the in-laws give us as gift. So this is what the dowry has gone in different forms. So the male who is working, you may not be knowing, he is only a daily wage earner. It's a temporary staff. But the in-laws might not be knowing this. He would have claimed that he is working in Bharathidasan University. And now you know the informal, in the globalization context, it is informalization in the formal sector. So if university is a formal sector, but work is an informal sector, wherein you are appointed at a daily wage. So, but he got the gift or dowry. So that is what the very, 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 does not dowry is only with higher income groups. So there are a number of other reasons. I told already, normalizing and accepting the socialization process, the subordination of women and the superiority or domination of men. So you never expect the boys to do whatever the girls are doing. You are only training the girls what the boys are doing. You try to do whatever the boys are doing. You have to also equally train the boys at home that whatever a girl is expected to do, or the mother is expected to do, or the woman is expected to do, should be done by the men also. But that is not happening. That is again the patriarchy. And lack of recognition of women's unpaid work, care economy, economic services, the whatever the other kind of social reproductive activities. This is not it doesn't have money value, and therefore it is invisible. It is not actually visible as work at all. So when you go and do a census, as to when you ask a question whether you are working, all the women, irrespective of whether they are working or not, there at the household context, they will say, no, I am sitting simply at home. And sometimes they are also into productive activities, value addition. They go to the field, they help in harvesting, packing, processing the grains, etc., etc. If you appoint a person and if you work out an opportunity cost, that will come to a huge half of the salary that you would be doing otherwise, giving to others, but you are not accounting that for. And control over sexuality and lack of control over their own body. So why this domestic violence? That itself is an indication that my body is not in my control. That is why you take advantage of it and you burn me, you hit me, I will be giving that statistics also, at least around 6 injuries in one incident. And it would be certain, in certain contexts, you will have to directly go to the hospital. You have to do switches for that. That is a kind of a bleeding, you hurt, you do, and you unfortunately survive. And push to sexual torture, marital rape, physical violence, dowry, and continuous demand for money from in-laws. In several contexts, at least around 20-25 cases, it was reported that the men who are into extramarital relationship and also into drink, they would always be kicking these women, torturing these women to any extent, and every time demand to go and get money from their in-laws. They will even say that you said you will be paying dowry and you haven't paid. They would have given already, but he's a drunkard. No, you would have forgotten or pretend to be forgotten. And every time it is a physical violence, totally physical violence. I'll be describing that. It's very, very, very terrible. And he will always, that particular group of women, they will always be hicking these people to go home and collect money. And if you come with money only, you will be allowed to in. And the children will be suffering. So this is a kind of an issue with it. And they do not pay money, do not go to work, 40% each. They said the money, you go and earn for the living. That is why then they started going to domestic helper or construction worker, whichever work is very easy to learn, or they feel that it is not skilled. So that is what they make up the living. And the money demanded from parents to spend, whatever received will be spent on, because they've already become alcoholic addict, and also spend on other kind of unproductive expenses, conspicuous consumption, etc. The money will be swallowed even within a week or so. Then they will be again coming back. This is what was happening at around 10 or 15 cases in the 175 cases. Then extramarital sexual affairs, suspicion, since he is involved in extramarital and he also suspects her, his wife. So that is also, and the fidelity of wife is a question, and around 25% of the population, the sample informed that suspicion is the major issue, that they do not want to anymore live with this guy. Then economic crisis in the household, dowry, sexual related problems, etc. See, you are not physically and all emotionally or mentally prepared to cope up with the kind of sexual demands of the man, because you are every day being tortured. And where is the question of coping up with the kind of demands from sexual demands from the, or cooperating with him? So that also, if they deny, then he will suspect, no, you are in relationship with someone, that is why you are not cooperating. So these kind of issues have also been informed. Then alcohol abuse, extramarital sexual evident patriarchy, that is the one married another, this man is the patriarchal, or the patriarchal force is governing everybody, including the women. And therefore, even if marries another person, the law says that even if you are there in the service, government service, you are not supposed to. You have to divorce and get another marriage. That is, you are making a choice. So if you do that, you have to divorce. Whether the woman, the first wife, is interested or not, doesn't matter. You are interested in into another relationship, therefore you want to get divorced. So even if that is to be done, you have to do. But that is all not done at all here in this 175 cases. Simply they very much know that the wives know, the in-laws know, everybody knows that he is into another relationship, but we could not help. That is what I say, patriarchy. Patriarchy, everywhere I should say patriarchy, patriarchal forces. And unless otherwise you stammer the patriarchy, you can't come out of it. Then family members also support and normalizing. They always point to women only. You should have handled him. You should have succeeded in handling. Why you have left him to peep into another woman's body? That is what they start justifying. They don't come to the rescue of these women. That is what it is. Coming to these injuries, it's very, very pathetic. Know that almost over 96% of the women are into the symptoms of depression. They consulted the doctors and got that certificates also. And the very important pathetic issue is that 77% attempted to suicides and 57% attempted twice. So where is the question? If they try for the second time, third time, very what of course there is some pressure that the children are there and they should not be covered to for the sake of managing their these men. Why should I give up my life? So all these things, but it is a line of it is a thin line to take a decision or not to take. So if somebody is there, or if she is really conscious to not to commit herself to losing her life, then. But I'm afraid this 57% who attempted already twice, they would likely to do again and again, and one fine morning they will lose themselves. And in one incident, at least 1 to 6 injuries, very small injuries to very heavy injuries. I already told that they will straight be taken to the hospital and get into some switches also. That is a kind of a very aggressive persons, these drunkard women, or making them to suffer. And 50% experience physical consequences suffered from orthopedic injuries like neck, hands, finger, shoulder, back, hip, legs, etc. All these, sometimes orthopedic means they will be disabled. Either one leg would have gone or halfway, whatever surgery you do, which I don't know whether they have got it back. Then also some of them got head injuries. At least 1/4 have reported that. And 1/10 of them had facial injuries also, cheeks, chin, mouth, facial disfigurement, etc. Even size இப்படி திரும்பிக்கிட்டு போறது, கழுத்து திருப்பிக்கிறது, திரும்பி வரவே வராது, அந்த மாதிரி அந்த அளவுக்கு போட்டு அடிக்கிறது. Few had suffered from defects with senses also, eye, ear, nose, skin loss, sometimes burning. And the very important aspect is that if you are not cooperating to the sexual demands, he'll be burning on your private parts with cigarettes or whatever. And sometimes you, I think that is also reported. Kerosene, pouring kerosene on them and threat of being placing fire, etc. So what had been the kind of impact it had on the family? So the first and foremost is the children shifting to school. Because every time these domestic violence, quarreling, and they won't go regular, absenteeism, the teachers will be scolding, and these children will also not be concentrating on their studies. And to cope up with that, the parents will the mothers particularly definitely be shifting the schools, and the school performance, poor performance, dropout, absenteeism will lead to dropout also. See how you are making your own children to get disinterested in education, and detainment, and also a disinterest in life. So ultimately the children will also lose, because every day they are witnessing the kind of issue which is happening between the parents, and therefore the children will no longer get any interest in their life. And giving up work is the second consequence, where these men will go even there to the workplace and shout in front of the employers, etc. So the employers, either they will shut the woman out, or these women will give up and work. And sometimes it will be suspicion also. When they go to work, the men will suspect that she may be into relationship. So they will go and shout there or connect with persons, and therefore that also made them to give up work. So these women are not willing to fight back and establish, rather they give up. That is the kind of a subordination that the society has imposed on them. And on the other hand, the dominance and the patriarchal value system imposed the men to be always very firm, even if it is wrong, suspicion, without any base, but still they succeed and they remain aggressive and stubborn. And 93% of the protection, they came reported to the protection officer, and they were not living with their husbands. I already told this is the kind of an act which is helping. And they are destitute, staying with their parents due to continuous torture and domestic violence. But majority, at the end of the day, majority of them, the 96% who are there in the husband's, parents' family also wish to go back and live with the husbands only. Majority means more than 50%. So what is the kind of a society in which even if you go and stay with your parents also, it is very, very temporary phenomenon. You cannot, if you stay with the husband, whatever the kind of torture he gives, people won't say anything. You have to bear everything. You have to tolerance. You have to develop the tolerance. But if you go home and stay there for months together, then you will lose your own respect also. That is one of the reasons why they want to come back. They want to be with their husbands, because the women feel that only when they stay with their husbands, it is considered as family. If you are not with the husband, then it is no longer family. So this is what we have observed in this study. There are 3 types of violences. That is starting with verbal, leading to physical and psychological abuses. Starting with economic abuse, that is taking the money, or you go to work, or you don't give money at all, and lead to verbal, physical and psychological abuse. And third category start with sexual abuse and lead to verbal and physical and sexual abuse. And the kind of the forms of domestic violence showed in this study were hitting, pinching, kicking, punching, choking, suffocating, wall hitting, material thrown on women, kicking on the abdomen, etc. Positively, the alcohol drink is several times positively associated. It is several times higher than the non-alcoholic husbands. All these happening with the alcoholic drunkard husbands. And it will be, as in certain categories we analyze, thrice, twice, 5 times higher than the alcoholic and non-alcoholic husbands of the victims of the issues. And the cruelty was observed in these contexts, that is forceful intakes of poison. See, in extreme cases, they have forced wives to take poison also. They have bought the poison and they pour into their mouth and make them almost strangling them too, and somehow they have escaped, and make injury on their private parts, pushing into the well. In certain families, it was reported they drag and about to push into the well, and blade cuts on hands and other parts, beating with the iron rods. See, that is what the injuries, directly go into the hospital. Burn with cigarettes on thighs and the private parts, pour kerosene and set the place, creating burnt, etc. Then one more thing that Dr. Santakumari also and Dr. Ramani also added, where the pregnant women hit right at the uterus and miscarriages. So miscarriages, one of the reasons for miscarriages also is because of the domestic violence, how the husbands, how aggressive in making, even without realizing that the woman is pregnant. And the other forms of violence would be emotional violence, yelling and screaming, using filthy languages. You all know how they will be using the very non-parliamentary words, spotting the sexual character of the wife. Hurts, insults, intimidation, threat, isolating, denial, physical abuse outside the home, etc. Even in front of people, because some people will be living very close by, and they will deliberately bringing the wives out, and they'll be hitting in front of others. They'll be scolding, abusing, verbal abuse, etc. happening in the very public, and humiliated in front of the family members also. Sometimes in-laws would be present. There again, they will be doing, and at the public, and talking ill of their characters, so abusive language. Then physically abusing outside home in front of this physical abuse in the bubbly has been quite higher among the alcoholic than the non-alcoholic. And threat to murder, some psychological health issues also, depression, etc. because of this. Threat to divorce, suspicion and extramarital relation of the husband. And in one important issue is that they wanted the wives to sleep with their friends also. This is the extreme case. If they do not do also, for that you will be making them, beating them, etc. And leave the marital home, and forced to have sex and touching her body without her consent. That is what we talk it as marital rape. And forcing to see obscene pictures and act accordingly. So you will be bringing some obscene pictures, and you have to act it. You expect the wives are expected to act whatever is shown there in the pictures, sometimes pornography also, and forcing to have sex with the friends. Sexual forms of abuses were higher among the alcoholic than non-alcoholic, and forcing to obscene, blue films also, and are making the wives to act that engage the forms which was portrayed there in that films, the sexual acts. Then mediation is also done by several groups, including parents, friends, relatives, police stations. Then lack of implementation of provision is shown in this study, where I said 93% still stay with their parents. Then lack of knowledge on the proceedings. The women who, of course, through some source, they could get hold of this protection officers, and thanks to the lawyers to whom it was reported, etc. But in general, the respondents, the women, they do not have any knowledge of the legal provisions nor the proceedings. And so I was told in one of the where Madam Sir Pavan Kumar Reddy was saying that you can go to the beat police also inform. What is happening here, the reality is that the women will be going and about to inform, and when they come to inquire, before that, having known that the women have gone and reported, these men will go and bribe them in the form of like getting some drinks for them also. So these policemen also will be coming and saying, okay, leave it, it is all our family, you have to adjust. So that is what they come and convince these women and leave these men. And where is the question of, that is what I was sharing this. Of course, that was happening there in some 2015. This study was done on that particular point. 17 it was completed. So excessive expenses and time consuming legal processes also, like women, if they think of going to court, or sometimes it is not an issue at all, because domestic violence, you have to bear it, that is what it is. But even if they go to the court, it is, or the legal process, it takes a lot of time, and therefore they are not. So these are the very major conclusions and what I should say, the forms, the causes, the factors. For the part, it was only told 15 minutes, so I cannot elaborately explain, but this is what I want to say in this study. So what is actually suggested is that you can go for the de-addiction centers, because this study is something connecting the alcoholism versus the domestic violence, and therefore de-addiction centers. That too, even the state can come forward to take this alcoholic, they are the perpetrators of domestic violence also. So they can come forward and do it. Continuous counseling of the alcohol drinking men, and that too in the COVID context is very much required. And dissemination of provisions of act, the employers' intervention. If the men are working and they are into alcoholic consumption and then intensively involved in domestic violence, even the employers have the role to. So the capitalism also has its role, and unfortunately it is not done. Then ensuring gender equality by eliminating the discrimination between class, caste, race, because it is intersectionality also plays. It is not just the women, the patriarchy, it is also to do with a whole lot of other intersectional variables, and therefore you have to, whenever we talk about, we have to also take into consideration what kind of initiatives are required to a particular class, particular caste, particular race, region, etc. And accordingly, come out with the different yardsticks, different measures to done away with that. So I'm really happy that the TRIACS and with the support of PAXI also, we could have this program today. And this Tiruchirappalli exhibits this. It is not that Trichy alone, it is universal, and it may be still worse in certain other areas. And only communication which is revealing in this finding, which is revealing in this study, is that irrespective of class, caste, gender, region, the education, age, etc. Domestic violence is omnipresent, and we cannot just say that it is happening only in particular class or particular caste or particular region. So with this, I'll stop, and if there is any questions, I'm happy to take it up. Thank you very much, Madam Ramani.
Thank you, Madam Manimegalai Madam, for your elaborative talk on what is the reality in current scenario. Thank you very much, Madam. பட் என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் சொல்லணும்னா பெண்ணு தான் பெண்ணுக்கு எதிரி. இன்வேரியபிளா பாத்தீங்கன்னா நீங்க கரெக்டா சொன்னீங்க, ஹஸ்பண்ட்ஸ் வந்து வயலன்ஸ் வந்து வராங்க அப்படின்னா அதுக்கு மாமியாரும் நாத்தனாரும் சொல்லுவா, என் பையன் அப்படிதான் இருப்பான், என் தம்பி அப்படிதான் இருப்பான், நீ தான் ஒத்து போகணும். பட் தே நெவர் ரியலைஸ் அவங்களும் அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சிச்சுவேஷனை கடந்து வந்தவங்க தான் அப்படிங்கறது.
I'll try to explain that. I cannot, being a women studies person, I cannot say that women are enemy to women.
பட் அதுதான் ஃபேக்ட் மேடம். இப்ப நீங்க சொன்னீங்கல்ல, விமன் ஆர் கில்ட் இன் யூட்ரோ, கேர்ள் பேபிஸ், இந்த ஃபீட்டிசைடுக்கு. எனக்கு வந்து 3 பெண் குழந்தைங்க. நான் 2வது தடவை கன்சீவ், எனக்கு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ட்வின்ஸ் 2வது தடவை கன்சீவ் ஆனப்ப எஜுகேட்டட் செக்டர் ஆஃப் விமனே என்கிட்ட கேள்வி கேட்டாங்க, மேடம் நீங்க வந்து செக்ஸ் என்ன, பேபியோட செக்ஸ் என்னன்னு பாத்துட்டீங்களா, கேர்ளா இருந்தா அபார்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம்ல. நான் வந்து ஒரே வார்த்தை சொன்னேன், வயிற்றுல இருந்தாலும் வெளியில இருந்தாலும் அது என் குழந்தை தான், அதை நான் பெத்தெடுக்கிறது என்னோட கடமை, நான் அதை பாதுகாக்கணும். சோ பெண்ணுக்கு பெண் தான் எதிரி. அத வந்து முதல்ல வந்து நம்ம வந்து அந்த ஒரு மாதிரியான சூழ்நிலை வரக்கூடாது. வீட்டுல வந்து
அதை நான் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணிடுறேன். எப்படின்னா, அது எப்படி இப்ப ஒரு பெண் வந்து பெற்று கொடுத்து இந்த சமூகம் நல்லா பாராட்டி இருந்ததுனாக்க நான் பெண் குழந்தையே பெற்று கொடுத்துக்கிட்டே இருப்பேன். ஆனா பெண் குழந்தை பெற்றாலே என்ன நீ பொம்பளை பெத்துட்ட அப்படின்னு சொல்லி என்னை தூத்துறதுனாலயே நான் வந்து என்ன பண்றேன்னா, ஐயோ எனக்கு ஒரு பையனா பிறந்துட்டா பரவாயில்லையேன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அப்ப வந்து நான் பெண்ணா இருந்துகிட்டு பெண்ணுக்கு எதிரியா இல்ல, என்னைய சொசைட்டி வந்து என்னைய ஹிட் பண்ணுது, என்னைய ஒரு வழியா இல்லாம ஆக்குது. பெண் குழந்தைய பிறந்துட்டா நீ வீட்டுக்கே வராதன்னு சொல்ற குடும்பமும் இருக்குது. அப்ப அந்த இடத்துல என்னன்னா, அந்த சிஸ்டத்தை தான் பார்க்கணும். இந்த பேட்ரியார்கிக்கல் சிஸ்டம், அந்த பேட்ரியார்கிக்கல் ஃபோர்ஸஸ் வந்து வேல்யூ வந்து பெண்ணுக்குள்ளேயும் போயிடுச்சு. சும்மா எடுத்து தூக்கி எறிய வேண்டியது வந்து ஆணாதிக்க சிந்தனையை தானே ஒழிஞ்சு, நாட் த விமன் ஆர் அகேன்ஸ்ட் விமன் ஆர் மென் ஆர் அகேன்ஸ்ட் விமன். ரெண்டு பேரும் சப்போர்ட் தான் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஆனா சிஸ்டத்துக்குள்ள என்ன ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா, நீங்க வந்து ஆணை பெற்று கொடுத்தா உனக்கு மரியாதை. இந்த சொசைட்டில ஆணா இருக்கும் பொழுது ஒரு பெண்ணுன்னா அவனா ஒரு கோவணத்தை கட்டிக்கிட்டு போயிடலாம், ஒரு பெண்ணு எப்படி வாழுவா, இந்த மாதிரி சிந்தனையவே மறுத்து நம்ம திரும்பி கொடுத்துட்டே இருக்கனால நான் அப்படி பேசினாலும் எங்கிட்டையும் பேச்சியார்க்கி இருக்குது. அவரு என்னுடைய பார்ட்னரோ என்னுடைய அப்பாவோ என்னுடைய மாமனாரோ அவரு பேசினாலே அவர்கிட்ட பேட்ரியார்கி இருக்கு. பேட்ரியார்கி இஸ் பிரசன்ட் வித் போத் மென் அண்ட் விமன். when women are not actually, இப்ப நான்லாம் வந்து ஒர்க் பிளேஸ்லயுமே I was harassed, but I never even shared that women are enemies to women, because it is a system. It is not the woman alone did that. There were men also behind her, and therefore it was carried away. So men were feeding. So I don't attribute to men alone or women alone. It is both. It is a system. So instead of asking who, we have to ask what. So what is responsible for this kind of perpetuation taking place against, again and again for the different forms of violence. Now we are also facing different cyber crimes. So this is what I want to convey. So when we say women are against women, then the whole issue of whatever we teach there in women's studies will go to the what I should say, the earth. So we have to be little careful in doing that also. It is a system, the patriarchal system, which is responsible, where both men and women are.
Madam, நீங்க மியூட் பண்ணிட்டீங்க.
Men will be sometimes better gender sensitive than women, and therefore I don't claim that women are not, women alone are gender sensitive. No, not at all. But at the same time, we need not have to say that women are enemies women. It is a system which is anemic. So we have to attack the system. That is nothing but the patriarchal system. Thank you.
Okay. Chitrakala, somebody, Anita Ravishankar wants to say something. Do you want to please unmute her? Anita Ravishankar. Anita Ravishankar. Unmute பண்ணிக்கோங்க madam.
Okay. First of all, I am Anita Ravishankar from Mangalore University. I should congratulate you. Fantastic program. And I should also congratulate Professor Manimekalai. Romba nalla pesirkanga. She has explained everything very, very well. I was also looking into the chat box of one Mr. Rajendra Prasad, who has stated that it is women who are against women. Romba nalla Mani ma'am explain panirkanga. It is not women versus women or men versus women. It is the system in which both of us are ingrained in. It's this system of patriarchy. Socialization mukantra, through socialization, we are learning all those patriarchal values. So both of us are part of it, and therefore we are getting into this domestic violence. Now, I just wanted to respond to Professor Manimekalai madam. It is also about romba nalla neenga explain pannirkeenga, romba elaborate agi neenga pesneenga. What I wanted to just state was that this nammukku vandu inga the Domestic Violence Act irukkinga, we have lot of activists going into it. Aanalum nanga paakumbodhu it is going on increasing. This is also because of lack of choice. Women lack of choice irukku, particularly in the lower class. Oru kanava illana na eppadi inga naan vaala poren, how do I live? I cannot live without a man. What are my choices? So absence of choices is one thing that makes women stay in this situation of domestic violence. So this is one. Secondly, I think we have to go beyond this. We have all seen, most of us are women here discussing. Munnadi namba yen pannona, I think we need to arrange gender sensitive courses, gender sensitive workshops for men to come into this, especially now design panna for them. And also we need to take this dialogue forward. November 25th, December 10th, we need to do an elaborate set of workshops and make people aware that this will not be tolerated. Probably at the grassroots level and even at the higher level, we should. This is one way in which we can make the 2005 Act work in place, bringing in police officers. I'm very happy that you brought in the police officers today for your workshop. That is one way in which you have got the society involved, the lawmakers involved in it. So congratulations. And even in the beginning, Dr. Ramani Devi madam spoke extremely well. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And thank you for allowing me to participate.
Thank you, Mrs. Anita Ravishankar.
Madam,
So,
can I just reflect to Rajendra Prasad alone and close?
Challenga.
Dr. Rajendra Prasad raised a question. Is my own colleague here in Bharatidasan University. And thanks, Dr. Anita, my counterpart there in Mangalore University. And in fact, he asked, also Ms. Mla shared about whatever I have shared also there about this 16 days activism. And November 25th is the International Day for Elimination of all forms of violence against women. And that Ekta in Madurai, they are very much intensely working on that, and we can also collaboratively work with them. And he is asking a question, what is the sample size? And I did talk about all these. I don't know whether Dr. Prasad was present or disconnected in between. What is the sample size? Sample size was 175, and it is actually a convenient sampling, I should say, because all the people who have what I should say, reported to protection officers were alone taken, and therefore that was the sample size. And who are the respondents? Again, the people who have responded, reported to what is that, protection officers. And whether intended results or obtained results, what is intended results, obtained results, whatever we get the information, and that is being analyzed. It is never intended, nor it is I can't say this is obtained. Like in women's studies, subjectivity is allowed to a certain extent. You must be knowing, being a person from social science and a person with all sides of sensitivity, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So it is not intended, but at the same time, I don't say that we don't allow subjectivity. We do, because when I submitted that alcoholism do contribute to domestic violence, there may be exceptions, 25%, 30%, but it has positively associated with all my T tests and other tests, and the work report is available in our library. You can come and see. And have you ever studied, what is this question? When I say that 175 participants were intensively studied, and you know how much issue we have faced, because it was difficult for them to go and get hold there in their places. Therefore, we sought the protection officer support, and thanks to social welfare officer and the protection officer support, they immediately called when there were 4 or 5 women who were there in the office. Immediately we rushed to, because it was very close by, that is near Arabic College in Trichy, and we took also some 4 or 5 students who have already been trained on this with that questionnaire, and that is what we have studied. I don't know why these questions are being raised by a researcher who believes that the women's studies researchers won't be doing just like that. And you spoke about dowry. Most of the case, dowry harassment is by mother-in-law and sister-in-law. They're also women. Very much, even in this domestic violence, why it is first time it is bringing the mother-in-law, sister-in-law also to that. So I don't deny it would be topmost the father-in-law and the very bridegroom themselves, but they won't be visible. Only the whatever dowry is to be asked, it will be asked through the mother-in-law. That is unfortunate. But for our visibility, it will be seen, oh, mother-in-law is alone, sister-in-laws alone are asking. But at the back of it, the father-in-law and the bridegroom himself will be there. Or they should also oppose, no? When mother-in-law is asking, they should oppose. No, don't ask. Why they are not doing? If they are not opposing, then they are party to it. I think we have to take all these things into consideration. And when we are taking up study in women's studies, it is a different methodology. The feminist concerns are included. Feminist research methodology techniques are being used, and women's studies research cannot be away from subjectivity, because women's studies research or experience-based research. It is not simply objectivity. It is not statistics. It is not simply quantitative. It is qualitative and it is experience-based, and therefore certain amount of subjectivity will be there, and you can claim that it is intended or obtained, and we are in between. Thank you very much.
Madam, one single question I would like to ask you.
Yes.
Was there any higher socio-economic strata women who were included in your study? I think it was done from in a urbanized place, but in a lower socio-economic group. But I personally feel.
Yes, ma'am. This particular study.
No,
am I audible?
Yes,
no, in this particular study, I already told, no, this is 5,000. Many major income, the monthly income earned is only 5,000 below. And it is unfortunate that we have confined only to the protection officer reported cases.
I am to share my experience. See, even in a higher socio-economic group, these women are being harassed. There is still persistence of domestic violence.
Yes.
I have come across
definitely
many patients who come and cry.
In different form, in different forms also. Cruelty will be there.
Yeah, maybe in the next thing, when you give a thesis to any one of your candidates, I think I will suggest what is the prevalence of domestic violence among higher socio-economic group.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it will not be less than that.
No, there are studies, ma'am. Studies. Only thing we haven't conducted here in Trichy, but across the even upper income groups also, upper class also suffer equally. Different forms. They may not be economic violence, but other forms of violence.
Okay. So ultimately, coming to the end of the program, I think it was extremely a very, very useful program for all those who have attended. I am very much thankful to the police commissioner, deputy commissioner, and the assistant commissioner who has arranged for this program. When I gave the letter, immediately they have agreed. And behind the screens, I would like to thank Mrs. Rajalakshmi, who has been liaising between me and the police department. Okay, and then I also thank Dr. Shantakumari, who was, I should say, she is a pillar in our Foxy, and she has been a guide and a very good friend of mine, and she has shared her extreme experiences with her. And finally, Dr. Mrs. Mani Megalai, who has done an extensive elaborative lecture on this domestic violence, and her giving the input from what the study she has done. And finally, it is not without the participants, this would have not been a very grand success. And I also be failing my duty if I am not thanking Mr. Balaji of Shield Pharma, who has given us the tech support, and of course the TRIAX members for giving the platform. Thank you very much, all the participants and all the faculties. Bye.
Thank you very much, ma'am. On my behalf of also Bharatidasan University Department of Women's Studies for this wonderful program where diverse kind of audience could participate, and we can also have ones for the less educated people in Tamil also. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.